Hello everyone, and welcome to this next video in which I will be doing a video on my predictions for the next Moto X phone. Now, there are a lot of rumours that the Moto X will be replaced sometime in late August to early September. Now, the reason I'm doing this video now is because I want to give enough time for a discussion, a conversation in the comments section below, and to really try and ask people what they want from this phone or what they're expecting from this phone. So, as you all know, the Moto X was Motorola's flagship phone for 2012 and going into 2014, for 2013 going into 2014, sorry, and its specifications on paper were not that spectacular, and a lot of people didn't really get the idea behind the Moto X, but reviewers and technology bloggers really liked the Moto X because it offered a great user experience. It didn't need to have all the cutting edge technologies to give a good phone experience and a good user software experience. But there are a lot of things that the Moto X did correctly. For example, it did voice input quite well, and I think that there are a few areas that Motorola can look at to improve with the next Moto X phone. Obviously the suggested name is the Moto X+1, and I think that the first thing that they'll do is they'll probably increase the screen resolution. I think they'll keep the same screen size, which is 4.7 inches, because that's been quite popular. It's quite manageable. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's quite a reasonable size. But in terms of its screen resolution, I think they will go up to 1080p, because that's sort of the standard now, and that was one of the small criticisms that a lot of people placed on the Moto X, that its screen resolution was not 1080p, it was only 720p. So I think Motorola will increase the screen resolution. They'll probably increase the battery capacity. They'll probably make it something like 2800 milliamps, maybe 3000. I think they'll also use a more powerful processor. I think they'll still use a custom processor like on the Moto X, but I think what they'll do is they'll probably use either, for example, they'll probably use a Snapdragon 600 that's been modified with the co-processors that Motorola added to the S4 Pro, and I think it will make it a significantly faster phone. I don't think that they'll use a Snapdragon 801 or an 805, because I would think what Motorola will try and do, like they did with last year's Moto X, is they'll try and make the phone a good user experience and a good phone in general, where specifications aren't everything. In terms of software, I think that the Moto X+1 will probably run, or probably be one of the very first phones to run Android L after the Nexus 9 or 8 is announced. I think that Moto X will probably be announced not long after that, and it will probably be one of the very first devices to run that, run the new Google Android software, which is Android L. In terms of camera technology, I think Motorola will try to do a lot of things there, because again, that was one of the main criticisms of the original Moto X, that the camera wasn't that great. So hopefully we'll see Motorola seriously try to tackle that problem. I think they'll probably stay with the same resolution camera, but what they'll try to do is they'll try to improve the software and the optics to make it more of a pleasurable experience for people. And also, I think what they'll also do is they'll try to, probably in terms of the storage options and the pricing, I think one of the main problems with the Moto X to start with was that it wasn't priced correctly. It was too expensive for what it was. It wasn't a flagship phone in terms of its specifications, and people weren't prepared to pay that amount of money for it. So I think what we'll see is we'll probably see that the Moto X+1 price lower than the Moto X was initially. We'll also see expanded storage options. We'll get the 16, we'll get the 32, and we'll probably get the 64GB one at launch, and they'll probably be priced more reasonably. For example, United States expect the Moto X Plus will be at $90 US, 16GB contract, and a 32